And we are back today to talk about the state of refereeing in English football. Now, this, of course, comes off the back of what was an incredibly controversial weekend, especially in the Premier League and the FA Cup. But to be honest, the overall standards of refereeing in this country at the moment just simply aren't up to it at sort of any level of football. But obviously we're going to focus on the top because that is where all the controversy has been recently. And this, of course, comes off the back of the statement made by Nottingham Forest following that game with Everton. And we have the statement here. 3 extremely poor decisions, 3 penalties not given, which we simply cannot accept. We warned at the PGMOL that the VAR is a Luton fan before the game and they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. Nottingham Forest will now consider its options. Now, firstly, I'm not too fussed about Nottingham Forest putting a statement out there about the standards of refereeing in this country. I think too often players, managers, after a game, will make a comment about a decision and will be wrongly punished. Because in the heat of the moment, players and managers, I think they should be entitled to express their opinions if they think something has gone against their team. I don't think that is a level of slander that warrants significant punishment. So I have no issue with Nottingham Forest putting out a statement saying that they've had poor decisions go against them this season, which they have, and they've had 3 decisions in this game, albeit I think only 2 of them under the current set of rules were actually penalties, have gone against them. What's wrong is to state that the VAR is a Luton fan, because that is an abuse of power by having Mark Clattenburg in their sort of setup. He knows the allegiance of the referees in the Premier League. So he's going to know that Stuart Atwell is a Luton fan. So to try and use that to gain an advantage, firstly, should just be illegal in the first place. I think the fact that Nottingham Forest can go to the PGMOL and even suggest that warrants punishment. But also to put a statement like that regarding a referee's allegiance to a football match after a game to suggest that his integrity has been compromised as a fan of a team that's potentially in a battle with their club is by definition slander. So all this stuff about the FA taking action against Nottingham Forest, be more than prepared for Stuart Atwell to sue Nottingham Forest for literal slander, because I think it's wrong for them to do that. Like I say, I have no issue with Nottingham Forest calling out the poor decision making, but to single out and to use an abuse of power having Mark Clattenburg, for me, is wrong. I don't think they should be doing that, but at least they're trying to invoke some sort of change, because there desperately needs to be some sort of change in the Premier League when it comes to officiating right now, because the standards simply aren't good enough. And unfortunately, they set a precedent on the first day of the season this year. Look, I'm a Man United fan. We are about this. I'm a Man United fan. On the first day of the season, Andre Onana came out of the, well, didn't come out of his penalty area, but left the 6-yard box and punched Kalajdzic in the face. And the referee and the video assistant referee decided it wasn't significant enough to give a penalty to Wolves. It should have been a penalty to Wolves. They set a precedent that day that bad decisions were going to be made throughout the entirety of this season, and video assistant referees weren't going to have enough bottle to change decisions that are going to have a significant impact either on the individual match or the actual season itself. And I feel that's where we are. I don't think it's a question of these referees' integrity, as Nottingham Forest have suggested with Stuart Atwell being a Luton fan. Firstly, Luton wanted that game to be a draw, so a Nottingham Forest penalty for an equaliser would have been very beneficial to Luton Town. It's the fact that our referees make bad decisions in the first place, and our video assistant referees double down on these bad decisions because I just think they're scared. Either they're just not good enough at their job, or they are scared to overturn big decisions in big matches that are going to cause significance because they don't want to deal with the controversy. Well, unfortunately, the controversy is now piled up so high the other way that it's possibly irremandable. It can't go back because there's just so much wrong with it. So that's my first concern. My second concern is what they're actually doing about it in terms of trying to promote new referees, shed light on how our current referees are performing. To me, that's not good enough. They've brought in this chat with Howard Webb and Michael Owen once a month. It's a PR exercise. It's all it is. Look at the things we did right. oops, this might have been slightly wrong. However, I'm Howard Webb and I can justify this decision because of X, Y, and Z. And Michael Owen, barring one occasion, on the, 7 or 8 programmes they've done so far this season, I can only think of one occasion where Michael Owen has gone back to Howard Webb and gone, well, hang on a minute. How about this? Surely this should mean this. And Howard Webb has gone, that's probably a good point. That's happened once. So that whole show has just further embarrassed the level of refereeing in this country. And then, like I said, the actual promotion of referees when other referees have underperformed. This season, we have had the first black referee in the Premier League for 19 years. We've had the first South Asian referee ever. And we have had the youngest Premier League referee ever. Those referees, to my understanding, from what I've seen of the different clips and the conversations, all had very, very good games. They had very good games. They put in performances as referees as good, if not better, than the recognised referees in the Premier League. Those referees have barely refereed another Premier League game since. So they were PR stunts. They weren't actually brought in to improve the standard of refereeing in the Premier League. They were brought in to go, look at us, look what we're doing, we're the Premier League, we're doing all of this. They are not actually trying to improve the standard of refereeing in this country. And I don't know if that's because the top refs that work for UEFA as well get paid more, so they feel like they're the referees they have to use. You just have to look over the course of the season and see that the referees in this country significantly or consistently make significantly bad mistakes that don't get reprimanded. The PGMOL will issue an apology when they believe an official has made a significant mistake that VAR has then not overturned. They've issued 3 apologies this season. How many decisions have you seen over the course of this season that everyone has agreed was the wrong decision? PGMOL has issued 3 apologies this season. That's not good enough. Obviously, they don't want to issue an apologies because it's an admission of mistakes. But mistakes happen in football. It's the way it is. Yes, video assistant referees and the actual system of VAR was brought in to reduce mistakes. I think mistakes have been reduced, but by nowhere near enough. More needs to be done. They have to have some more bottle. But essentially, it's because there's just no respect all round. I think referees don't respect the players. I think players don't respect the referees. I think the football community don't respect referees enough. And this is why I talk about the whole football pyramid. You go to any grassroots game, the players have the absolute right to lambast the referees to the extent that referees are just walking off of grassroots games. Something needs to be done to give more power back to the referees, but also in that moment, those referees need to take the opportunity to actually start stamping authority on matches and making decisions for the right reasons. Because I think that's where the issue is. Nottingham Forest have asked for the audio of those penalty incidents to be released. The reason why we don't hear audio from referees, video assistant referees and players on the pitch is because they don't stop swearing. They don't stop swearing. There was a clip of, I think it was actually Andy Taylor again, from the Man City Arsenal game a few weeks ago where you can see him mouth to the 2 Arsenal players next to him, he's being effing pathetic. That's the referee. The referee is swearing at the players. If the referee is swearing at the players, then as far as I'm concerned, the players can say whatever they want to the referee. There's no respect. It's childish all round. And I just think they need to give more to the referees in those instances to say, right, you're going to go out there. You are the most important person on the pitch. Don't make it an ego thing, but say actually control the situation. I think it was Simon Hooper. Again, I don't know why I was going about Man City, but it was Simon Hooper with the whole Haaland through ball incident where 5 or 6 Manchester City players immediately surrounded him afterwards. Apparently, it's supposed to be reprimanded. If 2 or more players surround the referee, every single player is supposed to be booked. Not a single one was. Manchester City were not charged for surrounding the referee after that incident. Simon Hooper was punished for making a mistake. What sort of message is that sending? It's no wonder we have so many VAR errors when you're punishing referees for making a small mistake. They're going to be compounded because a VAR official is going, if if I get this wrong, I'm going to get punished. So I then overturn a decision, because if I overturn the decision and it's wrong, I'm going to be reprimanded. That's not how it should be. Referees need to have the ability to stamp their authority on the games. But just overall, like I say, the standard just isn't good enough. We need a complete overhaul. I don't know where we stand. We're supposed to be the best league in the world. We have some of the worst officiating in the world. Our application of the rules are completely wrong. And this will sort of be my final point. We've had a whole host of handball incidents this weekend. Obviously, most notably, Jack Grealish, Ashley Young, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. All three, under the current letter of the law, should be penalties. Under the current letter of the law, all three should be penalties. All three of them have their arms out, be it natural position or not. All three of them have their arms out. And they all make movements towards the ball. Again, whether or not they're pulling their arm away, pull whatever, their arms are out, ball strikes the arm. Under the letter of the law, they are all penalties at the moment. So why is it that only one of them was given? Different set of referees for all three matches, and only one of them was given. We moan about it in Europe, and we moan about it in other leagues if you watch other leagues. But in all other top level leagues in Europe, and in the Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference League, all three of those would have been given as penalties immediately because they all follow the same guidelines. Us, as the Premier League, think we're arrogant enough that we can imply our own interpretation of the law. It's the law. Just follow the law. You don't have to like it, but you just have to accept that that's the rules that FIFA and UEFA are putting down. That is how the rules should be applied. Apply the rules that way. There is going to be less controversy. I just don't get it. And they then talk about how, I watch Ref Watch because I think it's quite entertaining at times to get some sort of insight from a former referee and former professionals and whatnot. But Dermot Gallagher said yesterday about how tolerance levels have changed with Premier League referees over the course of the season. How is that fair? How can a handball be given at the start of the season but then not be given at the end of the season because tolerance levels have changed? How can Max Kilman commit a foul, I think it was on a Sheffield United player, or another way round, for not quite getting to a clearance that would have been a soft penalty and was given as a soft penalty? How is that given as a penalty? And then I think it happened on Fabian Schär from Wolves as well. That happened 3 months ago. And then when Ashley Young does the same thing to Giovanni Reina, it's not a penalty because tolerance levels have changed. If you outline a set of rules, that's your set of rules. It's not fair. You can't have one set of decisions for the start of the season and one set of decisions for the end of the season. And we already know what's going to happen next season. We obviously had the VAR controversy with the offside with Luis Diaz for Liverpool against Tottenham because they drew the lines wrong. They didn't draw the lines wrong. They drew the lines right and then issued the wrong reply. Next season, we're going to have semi-automated offside implemented as it is in the Champions League. But it's not going to be implemented until the autumn international break, which will be in mid-October. So we're still going to be drawing the lines in August and September. Then we're going to have 3D offside in October. So again, you're changing the rules midway through the season. I'm not saying they're going to get any of those line decisions wrong, but some of them, Garnacho's against Arsenal, the one for Coventry against Manchester United this weekend. There was one in the Liverpool game, Jota, at the weekend. The lines were so tightly on top of each other that they actually gave it as onside because they couldn't definitively say he was offside because the lines were so close. And then, like I say, Garnacho and Coventry both could have been onside, but you can't really properly tell because of how tight the lines are. So, in theory, we could have a situation where 2 or 3 decisions are actually wrong for the first couple of months of next season, but will then be right when semi-automated offside comes in October. To me, it just sums it up. The state of refereeing in this country right now is completely muddied. They need to give more power to the referees. They need to actually promote more referees that have good performances. And when they outline a set of rules at the start of the season, they need to stick with that set of rules. There can be no tolerance changes, otherwise it's unfair. And like I say, about the whole Nottingham Forest thing, I don't think it's right for football fans to know the allegiances of referees because it would just make the online abuse even harder. So let me know your thoughts. I think we're in a complete mess when it comes to this topic at the moment. And the last few weeks of the season, I hope and I pray that there are no refereeing decisions that will affect the title race, the race for the top four, the race for the European places, and the battle for relegation. But after what Nottingham Forest have done, no doubt there's going to be at least one or two more massive refereeing decisions that go toward the team that are going to be highly criticised, because that's just where we are at the moment. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. This was sort of like more of a discussion than an actual rant. I'm trying to support the referees where I can, but they do make it incredibly difficult. I think some sort of overhaul has to be done, whether it's the rule making when it comes to the Premier League, the selection of referees, or just the referees we currently have showing a little bit more control. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you very soon.